Israel's ambulance service said at least 9 people were killed in the attack. Tehran retaliated with missiles after joint U.S. and Israeli strikes killed the Islamic Republic's supreme leader a day earlier.
Israel has kept tight restrictions on information about Iranian strikes, but the damage at Beit Shemesh was too much for secrets.
Iran has responded with another wave of strikes across Israel on Thursday. Israel's military says it's triggered alerts in several areas, including Tel Aviv. At least 11 people have been killed across Israel since the conflict began.
Nine dead, 40 injured. A direct ballistic missile impact on a residential neighborhood in Beit Shemesh. This wasn't a piece of shrapnel. This was a catastrophic failure of the world's most advanced air defense network. In just 96 hours, Iran has unleashed a staggering 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 suicide drones against Israel. The Iron Dome is overheating, the Arrow system is depleting, and the Pentagon is quietly admitting a terrifying reality. We are running out of interceptors faster than Iran is running out of missiles. Welcome to the new face of modern warfare, where technology loses to brute force. Let's look at the carnage in Beit Shemesh. This strike shatters the myth of invincibility. An Iranian ballistic missile, likely a medium-range liquid-fueled projectile, punched through the exo-atmospheric Arrow 3 layer, evaded the David Sling interceptors, and slammed directly into a synagogue. The devastation was absolute. The missile didn't just level the building, it compromised the public bomb shelter beneath it. Jerusalem District Police Chief confirmed the unthinkable. The majority of those killed were inside the shelter. Think about that. The one place designed to save lives became a tomb. Why? Because civil defense shelters are built to withstand 122mm Katyusha rockets from Gaza, not a 2,000-pound warhead diving at Mach 5 from space. When a ballistic missile achieves a direct hit, concrete crumbles like chalk. And this is just one missile. Now multiply that terror by 500. According to U.S. Admiral Brad Cooper, Iran has fired 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 suicide drones in just the first 4 days of this conflict. Do the math. That is an average of 125 ballistic missiles every single day. This is not a skirmish. This is a saturation strategy. On March 4th alone, Israel faced 7 separate massive waves of attacks: midnight, 1 a.m., 4 a.m., sunrise, afternoon, evening. The skies over Tel Aviv are never clear. The air raid sirens are wailing every few hours, grinding the psychological state of the population into dust. Israel's vaunted multi-layered defense system, Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow 2, and Arrow 3, is the best on the planet, but it was designed for short, sharp conflicts, not a sustained ballistic siege. Here's the dirty secret. The Iron Dome interceptors cost about $80,000 a pop, but Iron Dome is useless against ballistic missiles. For those, you need the Arrow interceptors, and those cost between $2 million and $3 million per shot. Iran's missiles, they cost maybe $500,000 to produce. It's a financial suicide mission. Iran spends $500,000 to launch a threat. Israel spends $4 million firing 2 interceptors to stop it. And if the interceptors miss, you lose lives. If they hit, you lose millions. Across 500 missiles, Israel has burned through billions of dollars in ammunition in less than a week. But it gets worse. Iran isn't just throwing dumb rockets anymore. They're learning. Reports indicate that the newest waves of Iranian missiles are equipped with cluster warheads. This is a nightmare scenario for any air defense commander. A single ballistic missile flies towards Tel Aviv. The radar tracks one target, but mid-flight in the upper atmosphere, that warhead separates, releasing dozens of smaller bomblets. Suddenly, one target becomes 20. The radar gets confused. The targeting computers get overwhelmed. You cannot shoot a $2 million interceptor at every single submunition. It's impossible. Some of them will get through. And that's exactly what happened in Beit Shemesh. 1 leaker, 9 dead. Now, let's talk about the supply chain, because this is where the war will be lost. CNN is reporting that at least one major ally in the Gulf is already requesting an emergency resupply of interceptors. Already, after 4 days. During the last major flare-up in June 2025, the U.S. military burned through 25% of its entire global inventory of THAAD interceptors in just 12 days. 25% gone. Senator Mark Kelly put it bluntly, the Iranians can make a lot of drones and missiles. They have a huge stockpile. At some point, this becomes a math problem. And the math is terrifying. The IDF assesses that Iran currently possesses a stockpile of 2,500 ballistic missiles capable of reaching Israel. They have fired 500. That leaves 2,000 in the chamber. At the current rate of fire, Iran can sustain this bombardment for another 16 days. Can Israel's interceptor stockpile last 16 more days? Can the U.S. manufacturing base produce complex interceptors fast enough? The answer is a hard no. It takes months, sometimes years, to build an Arrow 3 interceptor. It takes Iran weeks to weld together a ballistic missile. We need to shatter the illusion of the Iron Dome. Dr. Marian Mesmer from Chatham House stated clearly, public perception of Iron Dome exceeds its actual effectiveness. In reality, against ballistic missiles, the interception rate is not 90%. During Operation True Promise 2025, the interception rate for ballistic threats was estimated closer to 20 or 30% for some layers. That means for every 10 missiles Iran fires, 7 or 8 might be stopped, but 2 or 3 represent a roll of the dice. And when you're living in Tel Aviv, playing Russian roulette with a 2,000-pound warhead is not a game you want to play. We're seeing a shift in tactics from the Gulf states. Faced with dwindling supplies, they're beginning to prioritize. They might stop shooting at missiles headed for open deserts or evacuated areas. They're saving their silver bullets for the cities. But prioritization is just a military euphemism for letting some missiles hit. It's a grim calculus, assessing which impact is acceptable and which one isn't. The United States is trying to plug the dam, the UK is flying sorties from Cyprus, Qatar is activating its batteries, but 7 different nations are burning through their stockpiles simultaneously against one aggressor. Admiral Brad Cooper says Iran's capabilities are declining, but looking at the radar screens in Tel Aviv, it doesn't look like a decline. It looks like a relentless industrial-scale barrage. If this continues, Israel faces a horrifying choice: either accept massive casualties on the ground as the interceptors run dry, or escalate the war to the source. You cannot defend forever. At some point, you have to attack the archer, not the arrows. That means striking the missile production facilities deep inside Iran, many of which are buried under mountains. The tragedy in Beit Shemesh proved one thing: absolute security is a myth. When a determined enemy launches 500 ballistic missiles in 4 days, physics takes over. The shield will crack. This is not a failure of technology, it's a failure of capacity. Iran has successfully turned this war into a battle of economics and logistics, and right now, they're winning the math war. The question nobody wants to answer is simple: what happens when the last Arrow interceptor is fired and there is still one more Iranian missile on the radar? We're watching the breaking point of modern air defense. What do you think Israel's next move should be? Should they conserve ammo and let more missiles through, or should they launch a massive preemptive strike on Iran to stop the launches? Let me know your tactical assessment in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned to daily military talks. The situation is evolving and we'll be here to cover it. Stay safe.